What's going on, guys? Capine here and welcome back. And in this video, I'll be featuring a very strong climbing team in the Open Great League. Metacham on the lead, Shadow Walrein on the safe swap, and Shadow Alolan Sandslash as the closer. This is an ABB style team where Walrein is used on the safe swap to bait out any counter user the A-Slash does not want to see. We know how good Medi and A-Slash are, and if you've been around for a little while, you know how big of a fan I am of the Shadow Walrus. And speaking of which, even though Earthquake caught a slight nerf this season, its impact on Walrein is very minimal. Normally for most teams, Shadow Pokemon are interchangeable, but for these two, I think the Shadows are a must, as they just don't hit hard enough otherwise. Also, say you don't have a Shadow Walrein or Shadow A-Slash, Dewgong will work in their place, but if that's the case, Dewgong will be your safe swap. You could also run DD instead of Medi on the lead. And with that, let's get right to the battles. Alright, getting to the first battle, we lead Medi into Shadow's Swampert. Pretty decent lead for us here, as Medi is notoriously bulky and these fast moves do add up to the Shadow Swampert. They're going straight Hydro Cannon, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my Psychic right before their next Hydro Cannon. And it's kind of important that you throw Psychic here, because if they no-shield, Ice Punch will not KO. So instead of them no-shielding an Ice Punch and making it to a second Hydro Cannon, and they can then punish you for going for the Ice Punch, you go for the Psychic to either guarantee that shield or take out the Swampert. We do farm up and catch the next Hydro Cannon on the Walrein, and we bait out a Lickitung, and this is pretty decent for us now, as our Shadow A-Slash doesn't have to go up against the Licky. They're going to go for a Body Slam, we can survive that and get to the back-to-back Icicle Spears. First Icicle Spear is going to do some nice damage to Licky, and the second one will get some even better chip damage off as it brings them down into the red. They do get the lick down, but that is perfectly fine, as now I can bring my Medi. I'm hoping that maybe I can just barely tank this Body Slam so that counter damage can land, and I do. So that's massive, because now I can Shadow Claw down this Licky. I will have to eat a Body Slam in the process, but this is resisted. Shadow A-Slash doesn't have to worry about it at all, and in the back they have a Clefable. So now 2 shields to 1 shield. This can be very tricky, as they will be able to one-shot us with a Meteor Mash. So with the energy advantage we had, we're going to see if we can make it to 3 moves in time. First Drill Run puts them into Ice Punch range, and now that Ice Punch does get a shield, and this is going to be very, very close. They're going to be firing off their first Meteor Mash. We commit the shield, we're over farming, and we just make it to the next Ice Punch in time. And that is very crucial. We don't have to give up our last shield there, as again, they do have that Swampert with the Hydro Cannon. But because we didn't have to give up that last shield, we are in a comfortable spot. My opponent realizes that, and they concede the match. GG's. Next battle, we lead Medi into Shadow Gligar. We have 2 great answers in the back for that, so we're going to instantly swap into our Shadow Walrein, and we are met by Lantern. Now, this is a matchup you could previously flip by double baiting the Lantern, but because of the change to Spark, where it now hits harder but generates less energy, we're not going to be able to double bait before they could Spark us down. So we get the first Icicle Spear bait, and now we're able to reach the Earthquake on the CMP tie, where either they have to give up their second shield or we get Switch. And down goes the Lantern, and now we're in a fantastic spot because we have our Shadow A-Slash onto the Gligar and our Metacham onto this Greedent. And honestly, that's one thing why a Shadow Walrein safe swap is so deadly, because when a Lantern is counter swapped into it, you're always able to guarantee at least 1 shield in the situation, where if you go straight for the EQ and land it, you'll get Switch. If you were able to bait an Icicle Spear and then land the EQ, you'll get Switch. You bait the Icicle Spear, go for the EQ, and they shield it, well, you lose Switch, but now you get both shields. And with both of their shields down and you up a shield, Shadow A-Slash is just primed to sweep so many matches. And here in this one, we do make it to the Ice Punch, and our opponent concedes the match. GG's. Next battle, we lead Medi into Froslass. Another bad lead. So we're going to swap into our Walrein right away. Froslass, kind of a little bit of a core breaker, but we are able to tank a Shadow Ball if needed, but it is not needed yet, so I will give up a shield. And I'm going to build up to the EQ here, and then it's the same situation. Do bait Icicle Spear, go for the EQ. But I overfarm as my opponent tries to catch onto their Dugong, but doesn't matter. I would be throwing EQ at the Dugong either way. So I get to one Earthquake, I get to a second Earthquake. And you'll see why I say that like the Earthquake debuff isn't really, or nerf this season isn't really too terrible on the Shadow Walrein, because it takes 2 EQs to take out a Dugong either way. And as you saw earlier, the EQ still absolutely annihilates the Lantern. So down goes our Shadow Walrein. I'm going to come into Medi to counter all the way down this Dugong. They will reach one last move, but again, this debuff is not going to matter, as it is going to take 2 Psychics to take out the Froslass, whether I'm debuffed or not. So now we land a Psychic onto the Froslass, swap into our A-Slash, and now they meet it with Mudshot Diggersby. And here, my win condition's the Medicham, it's not the A-Slash, because all we need to do is land one more Psychic onto that Froslass, and it's gone, it's taken care of. So I can safely let this go. It's the Scorching Sands, it does so much damage, but Diggersby, being extremely bulky, doesn't have that high of an attack, so A-Slash is just barely able to hang on, get to another Ice Punch, and now Medi can just close out this match. I can let one Scorching Sands go, because we can easily tank that, and unfortunately they do get the debuff. And now this is going to be a little tricky, because I do have to go for the counter down against the Diggersby, and they get a second debuff, which means that this Psychic is just barely not going to KO. So can we get the counter down in time? We do. And now Medicham is going to be able to outpace the Diggersby to another Ice Punch and take it out. If you'll notice, this team faces bad leads often, but based on that safe swap with the Shadow Walrein, where you're so often able to leverage shield advantage or switch advantage, that the Medi bulkiness and the A-Slash sweep ability just, they complement each other extremely well. Next battle, we counter their superior swap with our A-Slash swap, and A-Slash is able to wall this energy, but Frenzy Plant does hit very hard, so I don't want to take a second one, as I will be throwing off these Ice Punches back to back on this CMP tie to get rid of the superior. My opponent is going to wait out their clock. They're going to bring back in the Umbreon, which they do. And if they go for the farm down or try and throw on good timing, which I expect my opponent to, I'm going to be able to reach another drill run. And here my opponent is going to have to throw a foul play, or also reach a second move, and they do. So down goes the A-Slash. I'm going to bring back in my Medi, and they have a Cresselia in the back. So now I'm going to counter swap with Walrein, as Walrein can tank a Grass Knot here, and these Icicle Spears will chip and add up to the Cresselia. So I'm going to load up, fire off this Icicle Spear before they get to another Grass Knot. It does get the first shield from my opponent, so I will shield back. And now I am going to load up and fire off another move on the CMP tie to their Grass Knot. Can't quite get to back-to-back Icicle Spears, so I'm going to go for the EQ. Because at this point, I'm going to rely on Medi, as we do get their final shield. And from here, if I save a shield for Medicham, and I manage my energy just right, I should be able to win this match. So now I'm going to overfarm a little bit, go for the next Ice Punch, as my opponent is still farming. They get to the Moonblast, so I will shield to respect the Moonblast, and all I need to do is take out the Cresselia before they get to another Moonblast, and I've got this game won. So I'm over farming. I plan to throw the Psychic on the CMP tie, but I miscount, and a Psychic would just about be enough to take out the Crest from that range, and that is a game losing mistake, as our Medi is just no longer healthy enough to take care of the Medicham. Well played to my opponent. GG's. Next battle, DD Lead. And now this one, you want to make sure you have a high ranked Medicham, as this helps significantly because you can survive 2 Thunderbolts, the subsequent counters, and get to 3 Ice Punches on minimal HP. As you'll see with my Medicham, it is barely able to hang on every time, and it is very consistent. So make sure in this battle high ranked Metacham is very, very helpful. You'll see I'll land that second Ice Punch. And right here, if we survive this move, we're going to be able to get to our next Ice Punch, which we do. One more counter. We survive on 1 HP, take out the DD. And here, you're going to want to come in with your A Slash, right? If it's a high rank DD, they will survive 2 Powder Snows and be able to get off a Psycho Boost. But A Slash comes in, the super effective Shadow Claws, they will never be able to survive to Shadow Claws. So by doing so, yeah, you take 2 double super effective counters, but if you swap in the Walrein, you'll take 2 single super effective counters and a Psycho Boost. So it's a lot better to come with the A Slash, as well as you get an energy advantage. And most DD backlines are weak to counter, just like how most Metacham backlines are, like this one. And by getting an energy lead on your Alolan Sandslash, you're already putting yourself in a very, very advantageous position. So I'm now going to bring in my Walrein, save my A Slash for potential catch in the end game, as well as give up a shield to the play rough, as I do have 2 shields. And they have a Sableye in the back. Now this is going to be very, very close. I land the Icicle Spear, and since they're saving their shield, I'm going to have to just go for a Powder Snow down in time before they get to the back-to-back. Are they at the back-to-back? Are they 1 off? Are they 2 off? This is very, very close. They were 2 off. Walrein able to clutch up, just barely get the Powder Snow down, and we leave with the back-to-back moves to take care of the Azu. First Icicle Spear gets their final shield, and the second one will take care of the Azu. GG's to my opponent. Next battle, we lead Medi into Jellicent. And this is kind of a core breaker for the team. But either way, we are going to want to safe swap into our Walrein. That is met by a Shadow Machamp. Hard counter after hard counter. We'll see what we can do, because hopefully Walrein baited out their only counter user, so our A Slash doesn't have to see it. We unfortunately don't reach 2 Icicle Spears there. My opponent was slow on the swap. We would have been able to, but they were quick. They were ready to go, so we did not reach that second Icicle Spear. And this Machamp is running Payback. That does a lot of damage, but I'm still going to save my shields for the A Slash. Medi's useless up against the Jelly, so I'm hoping a 2-shield A Slash will be able to take this one. But unfortunately, we are not able to, as they are running a double counter back line, so I concede the match. GG's to my opponent. Next battle, Medi into Bastiodon. Fantastic lead for us. So we're going to see what my opponent wants to do, and they're going to swap into Toxicroak. And hey, I don't have a great answer to this, so I need to stay with my Medi. Plus, if I'm able to get shield advantage, I can align my A Slash up against the Basti. However, Basti lead, very often accompanied by a Metacham. And if they're going to safe swap a Toxicroak, which is a fighter that beats another fighter, I'm expecting them to try and bait out something like a Trevenant or a Ghost type that Metacham doesn't want to see. So I'm reading that they have a Metacham in the back here as well. And if that's the case, my Medi is going to have to put in a ton of work. So I want to preserve as much health as I can. So with that said, I do give up both shields. And now they come in back with the Bastiodon. And that's a very interesting decision, because these counters are going to be able to shred the Bastiodon. I was expecting them to come in with the Medi, as 1 Psychic would be able to take me out, as opposed to me having to reach 2 Psychics. But nonetheless, in comes the Basti. They are able to land a Flamethrower, and now they bring in a Medi, but we're able to hang on, get off this Psychic, and that is absolutely huge. Medi puts in so much work this game. So now I'm going to bring in my Walrein. They're going straight for a Power Up Punch. If they were going to go for the Psychic, I would have reached an Icicle Spear on the CMP tied to the Psychic, which would have been fine because I reached an Icicle Spear. And me being able to reach this move is absolutely crucial, because it is going to put them into a very manageable range. One reason why Shadow Walrein is crucial, in my opinion, over non-Shadow is because of that Shadow Icicle Spear damage, which 1 Shadow Claw takes care of the Medi. In comes the Bastiodon, and my opponent concedes the match. GG's. Next battle, we lead Medi into a Swoobat. That's a spice pick by my opponent. You love to see it. but we have two better answers to it in the back, so I'm going to safe swap into my Walrein, and they meet it with a Greninja. And this is a matchup where I can get a shield advantage in. But I plan on throwing on good timing, so I will give up one shield myself. Throw one more Powder Snow and then the Icicle Spear for good timing. Down is going to go, or this is to bait the EQ, so my opponent respects it with the shield. And here I make a misplay. I should have built up to the EQ first and thrown on slightly suboptimal timing, because that way I would have been able to guarantee switch or both shields for my opponent, while this way they don't have to give up their second shield and they still get switch. Either way, my Medi is able to come in, counter down. See what they have. They have a Shadow Gramble in the back. So now I'm going to swap into my A-Slash. You may be thinking here, hey, A-Slash is my win condition, right? Because it's good against the remaining two Pokemon. But not quite, because these Psychic Fangs are going to add up and make it so the Shadow Charms will take care of it. So here, all I need to do is make sure I leave with a move. That's why I no shield. They're going to reach another Psychic Fangs, but that's fine. I'm going to survive it. I will leave with a move to throw at the Shadow Gramble, of which will get their final shield. And the reason why is because Medi can survive the Shadow Charms to reach a Psychic. So as long as I get that final shield, I'm in a good spot here. So Medi can reach that Psychic, and this will be enough to take care of the Gramble. GG's to my opponent. Next battle, we lead Medi into Carbink. Now, this is a matchup you do want to stay in. Hopefully they're running Rock Throw over Tackle, but they safe swap out into a Shadow Vic. And now instantly I'm thinking Grassel, except instead of Bastiodon, it's the Carbink. And on Shadow Vic safe swaps, you do want to throw an Ice Punch on your Medi first to get a shield, and then swap into your A-Slash. Whether it's a Basti Lead, Carbink Lead, doesn't matter. If they safe swap the Shadow Victory Bell, throw an Ice Punch first, and then into your Shadow A-Slash. That way, you can guarantee switch advantage. Or maintain alignment, I should say, so you can keep your Medi on their Bastiodon. Now here, I'm going to load up. I'm going to fire off that Joran on the CMP tie. And since that did massive damage and they let it go, that's fine. I can bring in my Medi. And it's an Air Slash Tropius. So as you'll see, maintaining alignment was very important for us there. As we can fire off this Ice Punch, now swap into our Shadow Walrein, which can tank a Leaf Blade, no problem. As you'll see, Leaf Blade brings it down. Now it's in the red, but we are able to get the Powder Snow down in time, and our opponent concedes the match. GG's. Next battle, we lead Medi into Sableye. Another bad lead, but we are going to counter swap with our Shadow Walrein. And here, if your opponent stays in on the Sableye lead, throw your Icicle Spear right away as soon as you get it. Just make sure they don't catch it on something like a Water type or another Ice type or Steel, but throw your Icicle Spear right away, because that way it will kind of reset that one turn desync from you swapping and won't give them any free energy otherwise. But in this case, we are met with another Lantern safe swap, and we are able to get the Icicle Spear bait again and land that Earthquake. Sorry, not land it. Be able to still fire off that Earthquake, of which gets their final shield. And now A-Slash is in a fantastic position to sweep here, as if their best answer to the Shadow Walrein isn't a fighter, but an electric type, then A-Slash will do well here, as we're able to tank that Thunderbolt. As my opponent reaches a second Thunderbolt, and will fire off this Psychic. This will bring the Lantern very, very low, where I'll now swap into my A-Slash to get an energy advantage. We're able to farm down the Lantern, and they bring in a Sableye. Here, again, a little bit of a misplay. It takes 2 moves to take out the Sableye, so I should be going for double Ice Punch. As you'll see, I won't be able to Shadow Claw down before they reach 2 foul plays, so I will have to end up firing off an Ice Punch anyways. So just keep that in mind if you're ever in a similar position. The Ice Punch is able to take out the Sableye. What do they have in the back? They have a Gligar, and my Shadow A-Slash is easily going to be able to sweep this game, as the Ice Punch almost one-shots the Gligar, but one more Shadow Claw is able to do it. GG's to my opponent. This team was a very strong one last season, and this season is no different. Even though both Psychic and EQ did catch nerfs, it's kind of minuscule considering the Pokemon they're on, with Medi being used for its bulk and counter damage, as well as Shadow Walrein for that Shadow Icicle Spear pressure. So if you are looking for a team to climb with and try out, this is definitely one you should take a look at and that I can recommend. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.